There is a running joke on this show that no matter where you are in the world or what day of the week or year it is, there is somewhere a women's summit happening. And this was a women's summit of sorts. The TIME100 list came out and they had their summit over the weekend. Much of it, although the list comprises men and women, was basically about feminism. And Blake Lively was featured in the TIME100 most influential among civil rights titans. I'm not kidding. She's not being recognized for her acting career or her involvement in writing scripts or anything like that.
Deadpool would make a Tetons joke here.
She was recognized for being a civil rights titan, according to this write-up by a civil rights lawyer, Sherilyn Efil. She said, "I don't know the Blake Lively of the red carpet or the Met Gala. I never watched Gossip Girl. The Blake Lively I know is a philanthropist and a student of our country's most intractable problems. She and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, reached out in 2019 to make a contribution to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. I had been getting a few of these calls as our work fighting against voter suppression and police brutality was receiving national attention. I'm always curious about the kind of research famous people do before they make that cold call to offer their support. The ones I have remained in relationship with are those who, like Blake, really did their homework. I admired immediately her curiosity and her sincere work to understand the conditions that shape this country. I remember an early conversation in which she expressed frustration that so much of our nation's history was not part of the instruction she received as a student. Her commitment to filling those gaps and becoming the most fully informed and prepared citizen is what I appreciate most about her. Blake is a serious person. She's a risk taker, and she's committed to moving this country forward for her children and for mine."
There's
so
a 20 there.
We have a 20 from Value.
Not to interrupt that glowing recommendation for Blake Lively.
Mary, your general thoughts on the AI music was a thon for you? I don't know what that means. Last Thursday, IRL after show, I think it was Any Faves. I thought you handled that very well. LOL. Please don't steal my car, though.
What were your thoughts?
Tim was generating all of these AI songs about Scary Mary and how she's going to steal your car. That was my favorite line. I am generally not pro AI music or pro AI much of anything, and that was most of what we were discussing on the after show.
I, however, am and think you should go listen to all of the Kanye West AI covers, particularly the one for Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen.
Now, for context, Blake Lively was recognized as a philanthropist because her and Ryan Reynolds got in trouble for having their wedding on what used to be a slave plantation. They got massively criticized for this. There was a huge backlash, and that was back in 2018, surprisingly before the 2020 Summer of Love. And as a response to that situation, that PR crisis they were in, they donated to the NAACP. And that's all that happened. But now Blake Lively is being recognized as a civil rights titan by Time magazine. And she also gave a speech at their TIME100 Gala. And this speech she delivered was basically mining her mother's trauma, having survived an attack on her life before Blake Lively was even born.
Wow.
I have no idea why she thought that was relevant to her recognition as a civil rights titan. But she said, famously, never underestimate a woman's ability to endure pain.
I saw Michelle Obama had a quote recently about Black women do not vocalize their pain.
Yeah, they're not comfortable with articulating their pain.
Women in general, that because when I think of women, I think of not complaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never heard a woman complain.
Certainly never a Black woman.
White, Black, I've never heard a woman complain.
So this was her speech that she gave sitting beside her mother and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. Let's play the clip.
All right, here we go.
About the last 2 years of my life, but tonight is not the forum. What I will speak to separately is the feeling of being a woman who has a voice today. And since I could speak, because of the pain, caution, and fight of the many women who have paved the way, and the men who stood beside them.
That means that you're an ally.
And Ryan Reynolds is
Gentlemen.
an
Millions
ally.
I will never know the name of, because every life, every act, big or small, affects another. Before I say more, I want to warn that I will speak about tonight covers trauma, so please feel free to step away if you need.
Trigger warning.
My life was influenced most by my mother, sitting here tonight, Willie Elaine McAlpin. She's an eternal optimist, and she's always leaving me messages, hooping and hollering and saying, "Woo, life's just a bowl of cherries." It's true, always. And she'll get your number tonight, and she'll leave you those messages, so please be warned. But at her urging and unwavering bravery, she wanted me to share with you that she is a survivor of the worst crime someone can commit against a woman. I've watched her conceal her raw and undeserved shame my entire life. So as her daughter, being asked to share this today is monumental. If we name it, we change it. Just as our fellow Time 100 honoree, the incredible Giselle Pellicot, put it to every woman who understood, it's not for us to have shame, it's for them.
Who is them, though, in this case?
I guess the perpetrators of violence.
Okay, so this is about specifically against violence against women?
Yeah. What's ridiculous about this speech, and we'll just cut it there, is that she is trying to draw a comparison between what she alleges against Justin Baldoni in her phony Me Too lawsuit and the actual trauma that her mother suffered, which wasn't explicitly stated. She said, "My mom never got justice from her work acquaintance who attempted to take her life when she was the mother of 3 young kids years before I was born. She has always credited her beating heart today with the story she heard from another woman in a similar circumstance, speaking on the radio as my mom drove home one day. The woman painfully and graphically shared how she escaped, and because of hearing that woman speak to her experience instead of shutting down in fear and unfair shame, my mom is alive today." So Blake Lively is, without explicitly saying so, giving herself the credit for speaking out about her trauma that she suffered at the hands of the evil monster, Justin Baldoni. And she's actually, in her mind, empowering other women to escape violent and predatory situations with her story. And obviously, she's doing the opposite of that. She's casting doubt on all allegations of misconduct, sexual abuse, all Me Too allegations by lying. So she is clearly doing a disservice to the women she claims to be protecting and empowering. Now, Megyn Kelly actually was one of the few conservatives invited and listed on Time 100 Most Influential. She was at this event as well, and she was interviewed on the red carpet about Blake Lively's inclusion on the list, and she thinks it is a joke.
Then you had people like Blake Lively. In no world is this person one of the most influential people in America.
Okay, that's wrong.
Yeah.
She's dominated the news cycle in these spheres for like 5 months, and
She's a bad influence, but she is an influence.
Yes,
that's undeniable.
That is what I call.
But I wouldn't say she needs to be recognized for civil rights victories. I
No,
think that part is
that's
ridiculous.
a different point than I'm making here. Is
Yeah.
This is either cope or just framing, but she's not right here.
Yeah.
Not about this part.
I knew if I went and I gave interviews on the red carpet, Mark, I was going to be honest in response to the questions, which, as you know, is a hard no for these things. Like, that's not the goal. You don't be honest. I was asked by the Daily Mail about Blake Lively, and here's how that went.
So who are you most looking forward to seeing tonight?
Well, I'm definitely hoping for some sort of a selfie in the distance with both Blake Lively and Meghan Markle, since they provided me with so many hours of content.
There's a lot of controversy right now with Blake being on the Time 100 list.
It's a ridiculous joke. She shouldn't be there. She has no influence over anyone. I think she launched a fake Me Too allegation against him, and she's lived to regret doing it because virtually every allegation she has made has fallen apart. And so for her to be honored for doing that, to try to ruin a man over absolutely nothing, is a scandal. And obviously they're looking for big stars to come here and generate pages on their magazines, but that was very wrong. I have a feeling she's going to be avoiding me. I won't be avoiding anybody. I'm good.
And what do you think of like her new movie, Another Simple Favor? People are saying she's feuding with Anna. Like, do you believe?
There was a really funny picture of them posing together, and Anna Kendrick looks like she'd rather be anywhere in the world. But that might have just been
Can't
the photo.
blame her.
I actually came back to, so I have changed my mind, not to derail, but about Anna Kendrick. I rewatched The Accountant in preparation to go watch The Accountant 2. You know, her role in that movie is small, but it's better than I remember it being.
She's a good
So,
actress.
you know, there you go.
I couldn't care less, but I do care when people bastardize Me Too allegations against, people who don't deserve it. And I think, notwithstanding the fact that they can lawyer up with very powerful PR people and lawyers and so on, we have to be very clear-eyed on what looks real and what doesn't, and call it out when it isn't. Otherwise, no one who's actually experienced these things is going to be believed. So,
Clear-eyed.
now today there are a bunch of headlines about that and me specifically hitting her on what I said I believe is a fake Me Too claim.
Okay.
Then she also was asked by reporters about Taylor Swift, who is rumored to get subpoenaed in the lawsuit whenever trial happens. And Megyn Kelly gave advice to Taylor Swift on the red carpet. Either Taylor Swift is her dragon or she isn't. I don't know. She said to Variety, referring to the infamous text message from Blake Lively where she refers to herself as Khaleesi and Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds as her dragons. That's what Blake Lively said, so I guess I'll have to take her at her word. So if I were Taylor, I'd speak up about it, but obviously she's distancing herself. And that is demonstrably true, as a headline just came out claiming Travis Kelce has unfollowed Ryan Reynolds on Instagram.
It's the world we live in now. It's middle school. You know what would really be the best is if we brought back, like one of these sites needs to have top 8 friends.
It's kind of surprising how much pop culture news is about, like, this celebrity unfollowed this one or blocked this one or liked this photo. And it actually does stir up a lot of discourse, but for some reason, people think that follows are endorsements, and Travis Kelce has officially disavowed Ryan Reynolds by unfollowing him. And I think that's because Taylor Swift is drawing a line in the sand between herself and Blake Lively. She doesn't want to be part of this, and she doesn't want to be associated with this.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media, and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.